Okay, this is my first video in a series I'm going to call Dirt Cheap Guitar. And what it's designed for is for people that don't have a lot of money but want to maximize their creative potential or just have more gear. So today I'm going to look at dirt cheap guitars. And a prime example of this is the Bullet Squire Stratocaster. This one was crafted in China, and it's actually it's an okay beginner guitar. They often get sold as a kit where you get this and some sort of little inexpensive amplifier. The thing is, if you're savvy and you go out and look, sometimes you can pick these up really cheap. I got this one for a whopping $45 at a pawn shop. Now, there were a couple of issues with it. I think with this one, when I got it home, I had to fix the wiring, I think, in the jack. But, you know, if you feel like you're kind of handy with soldering iron, some of these things you can actually do on your own. So I put some strings on it, and after a little bit of tweaking, you know, it does fairly well. Now, this one I've actually adjusted to for slide playing. So I've set the action up a little bit higher. But when you're looking at guitars like this, some of the things you want to look for are obviously, you know, damage to the guitar. Is the neck straight when you look at it and look down the neck? What do the frets feel like? Oftentimes when manufacturers are saving money with some of these lower end guitars, what they'll do is use cheaper components. Either the electronics will be cheaper electronics, or they'll use different types of metals for the metal parts that maybe just don't hold up as well. Also, the tuners. These tuners a lot of times are less expensive, and when you twist them, you'll see there's a little bit of play where the note doesn't actually change. The trick to making these tuners work for you, though, is that when you're tuning it, is to tune down below the note and then tune up to it, always maintaining tension. You don't want to kind of get in that area where there's some slack in the keys itself. So with these less expensive guitars, some people, what they'll do is actually replace some of these components, especially the Mexican-made Stratocasters, which are especially like the Baja Tele and some of those other versions are actually really good buys. And if you want something where, you know, it's an even higher quality, you can replace some of the electronics, you can get new hardware. The other part where the manufacturers will save money is in the quality. You know, once a guitar is made, it's got to be set up properly. There's different fret leveling that has to be done. The frets have to be polished so you don't have these rough edges. Sometimes you'll have what's called fret sprout, where the frets will actually creep beyond the edge of the fretboard itself, and when you slide your hand up there, you'll feel it. These aren't too hard to fix if you're kind of handy with tools, and I'll be creating videos down the road to kind of show you some of these things, because I believe that, you know, if you can watch a video and learn how to do something, a lot of these things will not be that difficult for you to do. And I'm going to show you how you can dress some of these frets and really make this, you know, a workable instrument. And I've actually played live with this because it's very light. And at the end of a 3-hour gig, when you're tired and your back's starting to hurt, you can throw this thing on and it's like now you're not having to hold a guitar, especially any one with any kind of weight to it. So that's the Squire Bullet series. Really inexpensive. You know, it's not going to be anywhere near a pro level instrument. So don't expect this to have a lot of the features that the higher end Strats will have, or even the ones that are made in Mexico. This oftentimes is either China or Indonesia. But again, if you're just starting out and you've been playing acoustic and you're like, well, I'd like to get an electric and try and, you know, see what it's all about, this is something that you can start with depending on your budget. I'm going to try in these videos to show you different price points. So depending on what your budget is, you know, you can start out with something like this. But I'm also going to show you some other options where if you have a little bit more money, you can get something that's a much higher quality for not a whole lot more money. And we'll take a look at those later. If you like this video and want to see more, hit the subscribe button and also click the bell icon up in the corner to be notified when I put up new content.